This team is easily the craziest in all of college basketball. No team experienced more player movement both in and out than the team I'm talking about today. 11 players going out, 11 players coming in, 9 going each way in the transfer portal. This is taking the use of the transfer portal to the next level, and it is absolutely nuts for college basketball. Now, can this team actually win? That's the question. And also, you might be wondering, Austin, who the heck are you talking about right now? Well, let's talk about it. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about the St. John's Red Storm and the crazy changes that this roster has undergone since the arrival of Rick Pitino to St. John's. Rick Pitino finally making it back to a power school after he was fired from Louisville for numerous scandals back in 2017. He spent the past couple of seasons at Iona and has worked his way back up, and now he's at St. John's. After only being named the head coach just a couple of months ago, Rick Pitino has already completely reshaped this roster. 11 players coming in, 11 players going out. It's an entirely new team in New York. And the face of basketball in New York, college basketball more specifically, has completely changed because of this. Now let's look at which players are leaving, which players are coming in, and talk about whether St. John's is going to be a good basketball team this year. Now the Red Storm had a lot of talent hit the bricks, either through the transfer portal or graduate from St. John's. Now, forward David Jones is obviously the biggest headliner of the bunch. Now, also 4 talented scoring guards out the door for St. John's in this transfer portal cycle as well. Posh Alexander, Andre Curbelo, Dylan Adewusu, and AJ Storr all out the door as well. This team returns just 22% of their scoring from last year to this year's team. Now, as for guys that Rick Pitino brought into the fold this year at St. John's, it is an extensive list of really good talent. I mean, just take a look at this list. Looking at the guards, first of all, we've got Jordan Dingle, the absolute stud, jittery scoring guard from the University of Penn. This kid scored nearly 23 points per game last year, absolutely lighting up the Ivy League. He can get his own shot, and he's a terrific shooter from the outside. Huge addition for this squad. Next, there's RJ Louise, the guard from the University of Massachusetts, a guy who can score with the basketball a little bit in his own right, and he can also be a good shooter off of screens and a catch and shoot guy. He's been a little inconsistent at times throughout his college career thus far, but I really think he could be impactful for this team. Next is Dennis Jenkins, the guy coming over with Rick Pitino from Iona. This guy, Pitino knows him. This guy's a good scorer. He was one of the leading scorers on that Iona team. He can also defend, which is going to be a huge point of emphasis for Pitino to change the culture at St. John's and start winning. This kid can do that, so I think he's going to be instrumental to their success immediately. Naheem Aline, I also threw on here, the transfer from UConn, coming over from that national championship squad. This kid can come off the bench, and he's a good shooter scorer, incredibly streaky, not guaranteed to give you a lot of impact, but he can be really, really helpful and give you that boost at times. Also, 4 forwards that are coming into this team that could be super impactful as well. Glenn Taylor Jr. from Oregon State. This guy is a decent scorer. He played pretty well for the Beavers last year. Pretty athletic guy, can get his own shot at times. Is a little bit inconsistent from outside, but can definitely shoot the ball from out there. He's got good length, shows good defensive potential. He could be really helpful for the Red Storm. Quinn Zlazinski, another guy who's coming over from Iona with Pitino. This guy is really a hybrid forward. He can kind of play the 3 or the 4 spot. He's got good length. He's a good defender. He can shoot it from outside a little bit. Needs to find some consistency in that regard, but he should get good minutes and is a versatile player for Pitino coming into St. John's as well. Zubi Ejiofor. This is a guy from Kansas who came in as a highly touted prospect and basically did not play last year in his freshman season. This guy's got a ton of athleticism and a lot of unlocked potential. I think you could see him as a breakout candidate for this St. John's team, depending on how the forward minutes shake out. This guy is really athletic and he could dominate the paint. Even though he's around 6'8", 6'9", he could still be really effective in close near the basket. Last but certainly not least, I threw Joel Soriano on this list because he essentially had one foot out the door when they hired Rick Pitino. However, after meeting with Pitino and essentially being convinced to come back to St. John's, the leading scorer and star of this team last year is back in the fold. Now that is instrumental to the success of this team because he is probably the most consistent and reliable threat coming back on this squad. He's a post anchor, a guy who can dominate in the paint at times and can really match up well with the other bigs in the Big East. Now the burning question is, can this team win? It's an entirely new group in New York for this Red Storm squad. Rick Pitino's squad needs to do two things better to considerably improve going into this year and be a lock to make the NCAA tournament. First of all, they gotta hit the three ball better. For how much this team scored, it's crazy how inefficient they were both from the field, but especially from three. This team shot 33% as a team last year from beyond the arc. That's got to improve. I think they brought in some shooters who can certainly improve that number. The second thing is this team has to play better defense. They gave up 75 points per game last year as a team. Now their defensive ratings, their adjusted defensive ratings were all right, but they're going to have to improve a lot if this is going to be a consistent team. Now luckily for St. John's fans, Rick Pitino is one of the better defensive coaches in all of college basketball. We saw what he did with Iona last year, how he turned them into a really, really good defensive team, and a team that really could have put a lot of their opponents on upset alert in the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, they ran into the future national champions in the first round. Now, in the end, I see this team very similar to the Missouri Tigers of last year. I actually made a very similar video last year at about the same time about Missouri because they completely overhauled their roster in the offseason with the hiring of head coach Dennis Gates. Missouri got a ton better from all of the additions in the transfer portal and were a tough out in the NCAA tournament. With the addition of Rick Pitino, all of this new talent that they brought in, and a fairly weak and top-heavy Big East conference, I don't see why St. John's can't compete and be one of the top threats in the Big East right away and be a lock for the NCAA tournament. Whatever way you slice it, they are one of the craziest teams in all of college basketball because they have completely redone their roster unlike anything we've ever seen before. Comment down below if you think St. John's is going to be any good. I personally think they are going to be an NCAA tournament team, but I would love to hear your take as well. Now, if you're new to this channel and you love college basketball, please consider joining the College Hoops Tonight family and be like Joel Soriano for St. John's and come back to us. Please subscribe down below. We're going to be posting twice a week throughout the summer, talking transfer portal news, NBA draft stuff, along with team previews going into next fall as well. If you've already subscribed and are a part of the College Hoops Tonight family, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.